Very good morning. Very pleasant morning, all of you. So, now I am going to analyze the indirect taxes paper for CA final May 2017. So, first of all, I take a few minutes to analyze the paper and then I will go for solutions. At least few questions we should be able to solve in this session. First and foremost thing is, this paper is, for 100 marks, the coverage is like this. From exercise, of course, including Indirect credit scheme, you can say 33 marks. Otherwise, if you exclude Indirect credit scheme, it is common to both. And service tax, purely service tax, 54 marks, and customs plus foreign trade policy, 29 marks. This time, just there is only one small question for 4 marks on foreign trade policy. I believe if anywhere else is there, we have to search for, but I traced only one question for 4 marks on foreign trade policy. Merchant of excise services, not merchant, services export India, merchant export, MEIS. MEIS scheme. This is just for 4 marks and nothing else and nothing more. You can say, as far as foreign trade policy is concerned, just for 4 marks only. That is about MEIS, merchandise exports from India scheme. 4 marks. So this is the paper analysis. If you look at the question, compulsory question. So in compulsory question, A, B, C, D. It is for 20 marks. A for excise, B and C for service tax, and D for customs. So 5 plus 10 plus 5, 20 marks. As usual, it normally happens. Sometimes they give 2 questions in excise, but it is justified if they give 2 questions in service tax, because the service tax is all about indirect taxes paper. So when they made service tax portion, rather for 50%, 50 marks service tax, obviously there is a lot of weightage for service tax. Since then, indirect taxes tax loss paper has become easy. Earlier it was not so. So then, case study. If you look at case study, I think two case studies from excise, say for 8 marks, and 3 from service tax, and one from customs. So 24 marks, almost you can say 1/4. Of course, choice is there, at least 1/5 for case study. Not very many cases are there. 2 plus 3, 5 plus 1, 6 cases. Because nowadays, for the last 3-4 attempts, what they have done is, instead of 5 marks, they are giving a case study or practical question for 4 marks only. So thus they made the paper. The institute has made the paper lengthy, a little more lengthy. What you were solving for 5 marks, now you have to solve for 4 marks. And I don't know how you feel about it. For latest amendments also, around 20% coverage is there. It is everywhere, all pervasive, not specifically in one question also. Somewhere in practical questions, somewhere in theory questions they have added. So case study, latest amendments, they always form part of the paper to the tune of around 40%. If you are thorough with the latest amendments, and if you read well the case study, see often students are very much disinterested or not in, they are indisposed of preparing for case study. See, the main problem with the case study is, if one is thorough with the subject, thorough with the topic, he will be able to appreciate the crux of case study. Otherwise, if he prepares simply for examination purpose, he will not be able to go into the depths of it, and the conceptual clarity is missing. So he will find it difficult to grasp the epitome, the substance of the case study, because the case study is everything. So latest amendments and case study plus the subject. And practical questions, this time also, like every time they do, and this time I think a little more, almost 2 questions, 20 marks first compulsory question, practical question always there, and at least 1 question for 16 marks, we can say 4 questions. So 20, 35. So around 35, 36 marks practical questions. That's a blessing in disguise, because so students find it comfortable also to solve the practical questions, but sometimes they miss the bus, mainly because the practical questions in indirect access are based on theory, legal provisions, and if they are not thorough with the subject theoretical background, they will make some silly mistakes in practical questions. Questions will be small only, very small and simple, but if you don't know the particular technical point or legal point, you will be out. That's what happens. So normally they think they have done very well, and when they look at the paper, the answer, they look at the results and the marks, they find that valuation was tough. It was not so, mainly because there are 2 areas. One area is, in practical questions, somewhere somehow you made some mistake which you don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Okay, stepwise marking will be there, still you will be losing some marks. Next thing is case study. So writing case study is a great art. If you know the case and the name of the case, it's all wonderful. You can make it up. You will get around 60 to 80%. The problem starts when you are not able to write proper language, particularly when you don't remember the case, and there are some lacunae in explanation or analysis, reasoning, or proper legal provision you have to quote, if necessary some other case study you have to quote. So this really calls for expertise, special skill, and which is lacking with many a student. These are the 2 reasons why, if somebody scores less than what he expects, these are the reasons. If he has enough practice, that doesn't happen, that doesn't arise. That's the reason why there are students who score 70s and 80s, because they are well versed in this art, in this craft. Okay, so this is the analysis. As a whole, I don't know, you are listening to me, you are watching my video, I cannot ask you a question directly, I cannot get the answer directly from you, but nevertheless I make an effort, I make an endeavor to do. How do you feel about the paper? Do you feel this paper is easy, difficult, average, not very easy? I don't know, your impression, it depends. It is from person to person, it varies, right? But in Delhi, students say that this is an easy paper, and some students say that this is lengthy. So I don't entertain that, because this much lengthy, every time paper will be this much lengthy. It is not specially lengthy, it is okay, and to me this paper appears to be one of the easiest papers. Of course, some technical points are there, something new always will be there, something innovative is always there. For example, this time also they have added that, they have tried to add some innovation in, say, customs. small innovation, not very much. In customs, this time you have two questions, two practical questions. One compulsory question, there is some sort of innovation, because in compulsory question they try to twist to shake your confidence levels. That's the reason why I suggest people who are very thorough with it's okay. Otherwise, majority of the students are not very thorough with the paper. Particularly, this happens to be the last examination, and already by this time they are tired of studying a lot. Particularly those who appear for two groups at a time, and they are too tired, and they simply throw their wickets. Try to do. So for them, what I suggest is better don't start with the compulsory question. You attempt the compulsory question at a later stage, because it's a practical question. It won't consume much time. But start with other questions where you are very comfortable. You start with a comfortable level. Already you are a finalist. I need not explain further. Start with the questions where you are very comfortable and go ahead with, and you build up confidence. In the examination, very, very important point, already you know this, but I repeat, you have to secure yourself. In life also, you have to you have to follow this principle, that is, secure yourself. What do you mean by secure? By hook or crook, by any means, you should be able to score 40 in 2 hours time. Keep the watch. Yes, I am starting now. I am going to complete 40 marks worth in 2 hours. So to comfortably finish 40 marks in 2 hours, you have to choose those questions and those areas where you are very comfortable with, and your speed increases, and you secure yourself in 2 hours time. In 2 hours time, you have secured yourself by solving 40 marks. 40 marks means it is not exactly 40 marks. Gross level, it should be around 60 marks, 55, 60, because if you attempt questions for 55 to 60, you will be getting around 40 plus. So remaining 1 hour for bonus. So in remaining 1 hour, suppose you are able to get around 20, 25. Above 10, you have to get anyway, because 50 is the minimum. So at 40 level, you are secure, and remaining 1 hour you spend comfortably to get around 20, 25, 30, 35, as the case may be. It depends. It depends on your knowledge and other factors. So the secure principle you should always follow. Anyway, so you are at the final level, that to group 2 level, and this is useful to those who have had to attempt. And suppose, I wish this is your last attempt, and with this attempt you are clearing your CA and you are becoming a qualified chartered accountant. I wish. But so many people will be watching this. For your juniors, it should be useful. Okay. So this is the thing, and I solve some questions here. Say, at least a compulsory question I try to explain. So what the examiner expects, how you should attempt, because so time doesn't permit, because it takes a lot of time to solve on the board. So under your examination conditions, it is 3 hours, means it may take more than 3 hours. But at the same time, I will certainly solve some portion of the paper, and what I suggest to you is, if you want further solutions, to get the further solutions, you can send a mail to sprao@yahoo.com. sprao@yahoo.com. Send a mail, preferably with your mobile number also. And my WhatsApp number, I can give you my WhatsApp number also, 9811737205. This is for WhatsApp only. So you can have some clarifications also. My services are for you. Happy to serve you. I have time. So the solved paper I will send you by email. Okay. So if it is not inconvenient, you please subscribe to my channel to support me. There is no compulsion that you should support me. If you feel like, you can support me by subscribing to my channel, and because I am going to release a number of videos, already have released a number of videos on GST, because after qualification you are grappling with GST. So technical areas, on technical and critical areas I have been posting videos in YouTube on GST, which is of use to you. So if you subscribe to my channel, so automatically you will be having access to all my videos, and that may be of use to you. So that's why I suggest that you please subscribe to my channel, and even if you don't subscribe, if you send a mail, I'm sure going to send you the solutions. This is not something like a quid pro quo. It's voluntary. It's up to you, not mandatory. Okay, let's start. Let me start the question. Compulsory question I will start. This is DNA. You see this? May 2017. You are able to see this? May 2017 paper. Question number 1 is compulsory. CNC India Limited is engaged in the manufacture of machines. This is a question on central excise. It has supplied one machine to MS Advaith India Limited at a price of 11,25,000 excluding excise duty and VAT. See, whenever they give a question on excise valuation excluding duties and taxes, it is a case of plus method. So in a plus method, what happens is, because the question is before taxes, and if he gives any additional information, from that additional information, you have to check up taxable charges, taxable elements out of them, and add up to make assessable value. And by chance or otherwise, if some expenditure is given which is already included in the price given above, you have to deduct, because non-taxable elements, if already included there, they have to be deducted, but all taxable charges you have to add up to make assessable value, and after that you will be adding excise duty. After that, on the total you will be adding VAT or CST as the case may be. Okay, this is a case of excluding excise duty and VAT. So cash discount at 3% on price of machinery is allowed, and further the following information, additional amounts as indicated below have been charged. So he is giving other charges. He says cash discount of 3%, means if you pay in cash, I will give you the discount. So the question is, cash discount should be charged on this, or after adding all these things? Initially, for beginners such doubts arise, because in class also students will be asking like that. But if I look at this, in this particular case, this cash discount is on the price, at a price of 1125 he says, and it is on the price of the machinery. So I take literal interpretation. I simply take the literal meaning. So 11,25,000 is the price of the machine. On that price of the machine, he allowed 3% cash discount. So what about other charges? They are extra, they are added up for the purpose of taxation. He is collecting. They are taxable elements. So we add them up to make assessable value. So that's how you have to take. So what are the things they have given? Number 1 is expenses pertaining to installation and erection, see, of the machine at Advaith India factory Machine was permanently affixed to earth, permanently attached to earth. This attracts service tax at the most, no excise duty. So your activity is leading to an immovable entity. It is a sort of construction activity, not a manufacturing activity. So this is not chargeable to duty. This charge 40,000 rupees, no. Expenses of installation, making the goods permanent. So to making the goods permanently attached to the earth, such expenses are relating to construction activity, not manufacturing activity. So not includable. Pre-delivery inspection charges, charged separately by CNC India. See, why the examiner is very friendly. Normally CA paper setters compared with the paper setters of CS and CMA, they are very user friendly and student friendly, because they don't play seek and hide games. They straight away say whatever they want to say. Say they are helping you, charged separately by CNC India Limited. So CNC India Limited is a manufacturer. It is charging from the customer directly. So these pre-delivery inspection charges are includable. See, recently, you know, there were cases. Recent case is Tata TVS Motors Company. Limited, South Indian, and earlier Tata Motors, 2012-13. This is 2015-16. So in these cases, of course, finally Supreme Court said it. This is Bombay High Court and this is Supreme Court. Finally said pre-delivery inspection charges, or you can say after sale service charges, they are chargeable. They have to be included in value only if they are charged by manufacturer to the immediate customer. If a distributor charges from the customer, that is not to be added. There is a clarification. So to that extent, the circular issued by department in 2010 after the decision in Maruti Udyog Limited by tribunal, it stands nullified to that extent. Only if the manufacturer is charging, that is extra, you add up. If a distributor is charging from the customer, no. So that's why they say charged separately by CNC Limited, means charged separately by manufacturer, so it is to be included. Cost of durable and returnable packing, as per circular in 2005, these are to be deducted if they have been properly amortized. Amortized means durable returnable containers are in the nature of capital goods. So that whether that portion, depreciation portion, is charged to cost of production or not, that we have to ensure. But normally when you are charging price from the customer, the price is based on everything including depreciation. But when you are not selling, where there is no selling price, if you are not valuing on the basis of actual sale price, then this becomes more relevant. But anyway, circular talks about it. But they say such cost has been amortized. Cost of durable returnable packing, within brackets, the cost has been amortized and included in the cost of the machine. So how do you interpret this included in the cost of machine? I link it up with the price. So if I take the interpretation, cost of durable returnable packing included in the cost of the machine, means price of the machine. If I say this 5,000 rupees already included there, so I have to deduct, because this is non-taxable. Properly amortized, but the cost is included. I am taking that interpretation. You can take different interpretation, but to me this is a standard practice. So this I deduct from the price because it was included in the cost and proper amortization has been made. So this is non-taxable and which is already included there, so you have to deduct. Next, warranty charges separately, charged separately by CNC. So warranty charges, if you look at section 4.3d, definition of transaction value, warranty charges, if they are charged separately, they have to be included. So 1 lakh rupees we have to add up. Advertisement and publicity charges borne by the customer, Advite India Limited. If the customer is bearing the charges borne by customer, such a question was also given, I think it was in 2014. 2014, I think, if you look at CA paper, if any expenditure is borne by the customer means it's a part of consideration. If the customer is bearing, is spending on his own account, whether advertisement or commission payable to his agent, then that is not a part of value, because there is no flow of consideration from buyer to seller. But whereas this amount he is bearing means he is paying to the manufacturer. So this is additional consideration under Rule 6. This is to be added, undoubtedly. After sale service charges, charged separately, 20,000, obviously charged separately. So based on the case study, in order to help you, otherwise you have to take an assumption. They don't want to confuse you. They say they are charged separately. Obviously you have to add up. So how to do? So the solution according to me is price of the machine before discount. $11.25 less discount at the rate of 3%. 3% from be 11,25,000 minus 33,750, 109,150 minus 5,000, 108,650, 10,86,000. Calculations you please check up. Even in the examination, if there is a calculation error, don't think that you don't get any marks, but you will still get marks, because it's only a calculation error. Small half%, half mark or 1 mark will be cut, no doubt, but still proper working as a whole. Suppose your treatment of each element is okay, correct, he will still give you marks. But if there is a calculation error, to that extent half mark or 1 mark he will deduct. Okay, so this is 10,86,250, and then add dutiable charges. Dutiable charges. What are they? PDA, pre-delivery inspection charges, and to the extent of 11,250, and warranty charges 1 lakh, and after sale service advertisement borne by buyer, because they are includable, 60,000, after sale service 20,000. After sale services. So put together 180, 190, 150, 180, 191, free. Next, one more thing is there. Advait India has supplied material worth 50,000 free of charge to CNC India Limited. If you supply anything free of charge, still that is to be added to the value, because price shall be sole consideration. As per rule 6, this is to be added. There is something 50,000 amount, 50,000 also free supply by customer. So 180, 190, 210, 230, 241, 250. I 12, 3, 13 lakh 27,500. Please check up. So this is accessible value, because this is before 13 lakh 27,500 is the accessible value. In this question, you have to read the question carefully. Don't waste time. See, it says determine the accessible value for calculation of excise duty. There was no opening or closing inventory. Lucky. CNC India is not eligible for SSI exemption. So no exemption during the current financial year. So when the clearance of the machine was effected, so it's not an SSI. And make required assumptions and show the working notes separately. This is all important. Suppose this is a question, practical question for 5 marks. Without writing working notes or assumptions wherever relevant, if you write, it is like a skeleton, a body, bare body without clothing. Bare body without clothing. So if I am the examiner, I will give only 60%, even though entire question is correct. Maybe you have copied from somebody because you did not put in anything on your own. When you write something in your own language, from that language, the examiner tries to understand that it is your own version, not copied. And your conceptual clarity is reflected in your working notes. Maybe you are not very good at English, nothing to worry. He doesn't look at it. What he looks at is, even in broken English, whether you are attempting something or not. Okay? So, for this accessible value, what he says is, need not calculate central excise duty payable, because he did not even give a rate. In fact, in excise they have to give a rate. Not all goods attract 12.5%. There are so many varieties with different rates of duty. So, invariably they have to give the rate of duty, excise duty. They have not given, and of course he says no need to calculate duty. So, don't waste time. Accessible value. So, for this question anyway, I would like to say working notes. What could be the working notes here? The cash discount, if you want to write, you can write. Discount is non-taxable. Why discount is non-taxable? There is a logic, there is a reason. Because if you look at the definition of transaction value as per section 4(3)(d), it is the price actually paid or payable for goods when sold. Price actually paid or payable, if you look at the circular given in 2000 by the department, it says actually paid or payable means it is net of discounts, if any, which are offered in the ordinary course of business. Cash discount is offered in the ordinary course of business. It is not of abnormal nature. Okay. So at the time of delivery or at the time of contract, it is prefixed. So you pay in cash, you get discount. So also you have to assume in this particular context that the price is before discount. It doesn't appear from this question that he is giving after deducting the discount. the language is not suggesting that. So, about that you can write one line. Next, cost of durable returnable containers are non-taxable. I have deducted since it was included in the cost of the machine. Means they used the language cost, actually I interpreted and understood as price of the machine. But they should have used the language price of the machine above. But they did not use the language above. If he says above, that would be very clear. If he doesn't say above, there is a slight risk that probably is talking about the depreciation portion which is included in the cost of the machine, and these are charged. But because these are charged separately from the customer, obviously these are not to be added to the, non-taxable, but no need to deduct. See, if the 5,000 rupees is not already included in the machine price of the machine, this need not be deducted, neutral, no add up, because you see it is non-taxable. To that extent, what happens? 5,000 rupees will be added here, 13 lakhs 32,500 it comes to. That interpretation is also possible. Okay, but and included in the cost of the machine. So I took this interpretation, and included in the cost of the machine means machine above, the price above. Such an interpretation I have taken. Don't worry. Your marking will be based on your interpretation and assumptions. He will appreciate, because it is possible. It is when it is possible to have different interpretations. So what he tries to know is whether you know the subject or not. You know, because it is already non-taxable element already included, we have to deduct. Non-taxable element has been given, but not included in the price above. That should not be added. So this much of clarity you are having, and confidently you write the assumption, that will be accepted. Okay, so this is my assumption and I have done this way. It is your confidence level that matters. Next, B, compute service tax liability to be paid in cash from the following particulars of services of MS Utkarsh and Company for the month of October 2016. It's a monthly, details are for a month. Service tax liability we have to find out. In this question, what is technical, what is important is, in service tax, 14% is the tax, and Swachh Bharat says 0.5% on the value, and Krishi Kalyan says 0.5% on the value. But as far as the utilization of Indirect credit scheme is concerned, Indirect credit is concerned, Swachh Bharat says can you take credit? Can you utilize it? No, because government wants it is to go to the cleaning of India. Whether it is possible during our lifetime or not, that's a different issue. For cleaning of India, entire amount should go to the government treasury or consolidated fund of India, and that should be spent for cleaning India, clean India, green India, like that. But what about Krishi Kalyan says? So Krishi Kalyan says credit you can take, but you can utilize only to pay Krishi Kalyan cess. Means that has to be taken separately and that has to be utilized separately. That should be set off only with Krishi Kalyan cess. This point you have to remember, otherwise the entire question is a lollipop. There is nothing special. See, the question paper has been set on the lines of practice manual. So maybe you have thoroughly prepared for practice manual, and this question paper appears to be very simple and normal because questions are on the same pattern of practice manual. Say question, what are the questions? So the question they have given is, let me do it. say Utkarsh Company Limited. Treatment, monuments, etc. Say, I think it is entry number 12. Next, gross amount excluding all taxes charged for providing works contract service, 2 lakhs. Very good question, innovative, very simple in fact. So, works contract 2 lakh rupees they charged excluding taxes, good. Actual value of material transferred in the above works contract where VAT under the relevant state VAT law has been paid on this value. See, VAT paid material is to be deducted for the purpose of service tax, you know. If you look at rule 2A1, so 2 lakhs material portion is 1,40,000. So, works contract, it is 2 lakhs total value less 1,40,000 towards material. So, 60,000 only for the purpose of service tax. See how simple the question is, and nothing else is there. But what other information they have given? They say service tax paid on input services excluding SBC and KKC. So there is a purpose. Without purpose they don't do. Service tax paid on services, input services. So input services excluding cesses 2800, SBC 100 and KKC Krishi Kalyan cess 100. Because on this credit is available, on this credit is not available. That's why I have written, otherwise there is no special intention. SPC paid, okay, input services. Excise duty paid on capital goods, okay. If you pay any duty on capital goods used in works contract, that becomes credit is available. Only on the input material credit is not available, because if you look at the definition of input under rule 2K, they have clearly mentioned material used, goods used in works contract or construction services are to provide base of for capital goods, they are not input. So excise duty paid on the capital goods purchased during the year used in the provision of works contract service. Say how to interpret here? Paid on the capital goods purchased during the year. During the year means after March, because it is for October 2016, used in the provision of works contract service. So, he is a service provider, purchased during the year. They mean to say, in the year of purchase, in the year of bringing, you would be getting only 50%. That is what he may probably be hinting. Of course, even if you take 100%, they should not do. But why to take risk? Let us see. During the year, he says, let us take 50% only. Input services, capital goods. 10 VAT credit portion. On capital goods, it is 2,000 rupees. Of course, the eligible amount is 1,000 rupees only. Eligible amount is 100. And eligible amount is full 2,800. The paid eligible as credit. I am taking 50%, because he says during the year. means in the same financial year. Excise duty paid on inputs used in the provision of works contract service. Sorry. See, excise duty paid on inputs, they are by definition not inputs for the purpose of inward credit. So, I am not touching upon. 10,750, no credit is available, I am not writing it off. Okay, this is the credit position, 2800, 3800 plus 100, 3900. And here tax liability is very easy to fix up. So, what is the tax liability here? Service tax. This is the value of service, taxable value. Okay, service tax payable. Say service tax and KKC and SBC. Service tax, KKC and SBC. So at 14% you please calculate. Don't make a mistake because you have to match KKC with KKC and SBC you can't. You have to pay, but you can't take that credit to use it. You have to pay anyway. So if you take care of this, entire question is simple. It takes only 2 minutes. See, I am deliberately explaining by taking more time. Otherwise, it won't take much time. Simply go and solve. Okay. So service tax at the rate of 14%, na? On 60,000, 14%. 14% on 60,000 into 14, 18,000, 8,400 and 0.5%, 8,400, 1% is 600, na? 1% is 600, 300, 300. So if you take total, that's a different issue. Total is 9,000. So service tax payable we got 14%, half percent and half percent, and we have the details relating to eligible CNVAT credit. Anything else on the next page we have to see. Utkarsh and company has paid service tax of 2,50,000 during the preceding financial year, which means it is not a small service provider. Its turnover was above. Rate of service tax 15%, need not say, 14% plus half, working note should form part of your answer. Okay. So less CNVAT credit. CNVAT credit here, service tax as service tax, 2,800, right? No, not 2,800. This is 2,800 plus 1,000. But about capital goods, he did not say anything. So he did not say anything. Of course, they paid excise duty, no? Excise duty 28 plus 1,000, 3,800. Okay, so Krishi Kalyan says already aware. Yes. Sorry, I am not taking. I am not utilizing. So net payable in cash or otherwise. This is in total to pay. That 100 gone. Again paying 300. That 100 and 300, there is a cascading effect. Entire amount is going to Government of India account, Consolidated Fund of India, and KKC 100 only because there is a deduction, and 600. Okay, and 7 plus minus 3, 4. 46, 48, 51. So total, if you deduct here 3900, you will get 5100. Okay. Please check up. You have to pay SBC. That SBC credit is not available to you. KKC adjustable. KKC net 200 you are paying. Service tax 8,400 as a whole you have to pay. Out of that you are paying, you are utilizing the credit of 3,800, 4,600. But there is one technical point here. I don't say error, but what the examiner failed to talk about is, he is talking about tax liability of Utkarsh. He is having construction of road for general public and he is having renovation of service provided to government. Okay, but what about the service? He is talking about input service, service tax paid on input services. But they did not mention that the input services are exclusively meant for works contract. But we are taking the assumption that because the amount is so small, for construction of road for general public, renovation of service provided to government, for sewerage treatment, etc., we assume that the input services were not used for them. But he should have mentioned this. Had he mentioned, then only pro rata, the entire credit, it is not available. Credit in entirety is not available now in such a case. But what we are doing is, what we are assuming is that entire input services are used for works contract only. So here, don't worry, don't complain, simply write. What is the main assumption that you have to write here is, I have assumed, I have taken that the input services, the whole amount of service tax paid on input services is, the services are used for works contract only. That is the reason why I have taken the entire amount. Then no complication, no segregation, nothing. Okay, question number 2. And what are the important points? You can say SBC credit cannot be taken, so I have not taken. SBC should be paid always in cash, so I am paying. And KKC can be set off against KKC, so I have done it. And I have not taken particularly, I have not taken Sainvat credit on input material used in the works contract because they are not input by definition under rule 2K of Sainvat credit rules. You should be as crystal clear as possible. So then the examiner will be very happy. So exhibit, when you know it, when you have it, you exhibit it. Okay? Next question. And I have taken 1,000 to 50% on capital goods, Sainvat credit to the extent of 50% only because it was given in the question that the capital goods purchased during the year means during the financial year. So in the year of purchase, only 50% you are eligible. So I have taken only 50%. That way you have to say. Look at the another question. Maybe you are having question paper with you. Read next question. Part C. This is also for service tax. Very good question. But most of the things are taxable only. You please read. You please read and check up. If you have the question paper. Otherwise, you have to depend on what I read. Okay. The question in fact is simple. but one or two technical points we have to discuss here. Compute service tax payable on independent services provided by all-in-one service company limited. All-in-one services मतलब दुनिया भर की हर सर्विस प्रोवाइड करती है. For the month of September 2016, service tax at 15%, including SBC and KKC, has been charged separately. Separately means you have to add wherever applicable are not included in the service tax value. Ignore exemption for small SSP. Okay, notification number 33/2012. And notes should form part of the answer. He is very particular. In every question, he wants to see your notes. Details of services provided are given below. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 items are there for 5 marks. What are they? All-in-one service. All-in-one service company limited. Service provided by way of repair or maintenance of an aircraft owned by Rajasthan state government. Who owns it? Irrelevant, because services provided to, so services with reference to aircraft, ships, etc., port or airport, etc., they become taxable, because these are services provided to government, not by government. I don't think it is available in mega exemption also. Aircraft services for repair and maintenance of an aircraft. So 5 lakh rupees. You please check up. I don't think it is available in mega exemption. So services, aircraft related services. It is 5 lakh. Aircraft services. Exhibiting movies on the television channel, taxable. Movie exhibition. It is not in theatre, in TVs. So taxable. And transport of goods by vessel from a place outside India up to the customs station of clearance in India. See, there is a lot of discussion on this, and there is a lot of time spent by government, sometimes unwarranted. See what happened? They have given exemption on this transport of goods by vessel from a place outside India up to the customs station of clearance in India. What do they mean? Up to the customs station of clearance in India. In 2017 February, this is really latest. In 2017 February, department issued a circular, February circular, 2017 February, you please check up. In 2017 February, circular, CBSE clearly mentions, if the goods are received, say, India, from customs station somewhere from Singapore, customs station in India, transport of goods by vessel. See, it is about vessel from a place outside India up to the customs station of clearance in India. Customs station of clearance. So this customs station is a station of clearance in India. So for that the circular says, if the goods are transshipped to a destination outside India, so we don't want to collect any tax. In that sense, in that interpretation, it has stated that we don't want to collect any tax on this. But this has been actually given exemption, I tell you. So for this examination, for the May attempt, it should be exempt. So I have taken this as exempt. See, transport of goods by a vessel from a place outside India up to the customs station. 4 lakhs I am not taking here because I have taken this as exempt. I tell you, for those attempting in November 2017, and after that don't ask me. After 2017 November, we dump all these things in Arabian Sea or Bay of Bengal or Indian Ocean, because a newcomer, a new guest is waiting that is GST. So in the GST regime, things will be different. Everything is taxable unless specified, unless exempt, and few exemptions. So we have to grapple with GST. So we don't, that is not relevant, but anyway for November 2017 examinees, those who are appearing in November 2017, please remember, there is a circular, there is a notification given on 23rd April 23rd April 2017, Taza, 2017 23rd April. So this is obviously relevant for November examination. In this notification, through this notification, the exemption withdrawn. Please read this. See how updated you should be. The exemption has been withdrawn. So for November attempt, people, I am sure you are not going to attempt because you are going to pass in this attempt itself. So for them, it becomes taxable obviously. For May attempt, I have put it as exempt. If I have to solve for November, what I do? I will add up. So while solving scanners, particularly in tax matters, direct or indirect taxes, you have to see whether this particular provision is relevant to this examination or not. Otherwise, very risky. Suppose you don't know, you will lose some marks. Okay, this is exempt. And next, construction and installation of original works pertaining to Bengaluru Metro. Contract entered after 5th June 2016. Okay. See, after 1st March 2016, metro construction relating to metro has become taxable. Now it is taxable. 9 lakhs. From 1st March 2016 onwards, this has become taxable. Earlier it was exempt. So, contract entered on 5th June means during taxable period, this metro construction activity, this is now taxable. See, this question is based on really latest information, updated information. If you don't have updated information, you would be missing the bus. Transportation of passengers with accompanied belongings by an air-conditioned stage carrier. Okay. See, you know, air-conditioned stage carriers, they are no longer in the negative list. So now they are taxable, 6 lakhs. Air-conditioned stage carrier. Earlier, stage carriers were on the negative list. Now, stage carrier, but so now taxable. So all 27 minus 4, 23, according to me, it is 23 lakhs excluding service tax. Okay. So on 23 lakhs, service tax at the rate of 14% plus half percent plus half percent you have to add. So to add 23 lakhs into 14 by 100 and into 0.5 by 100 into 0.5 by 100, calculations are left to your final students, because it is excluding. He has very clearly given. If he doesn't give, what to do? Normally I take it as inclusive. As per section 67, I consider that the amount is inclusive of service tax and cesses. Reverse method I calculate, but here no reverse method is necessary. Divided by 100, denominator is 100 because it is exclusive of taxes. Okay, so very good. We have solved 3 questions, and the last one is, 4th question is on customs. But don't worry, I will tell you, I will explain, because different assumptions are possible on this question. Okay, different assumptions are possible on this question. I take my assumptions and solve, and it is left to you for your thinking, for your analysis. First of all, let me read the question. Question in fact is not complicated, somewhat innovative. So every time they do This time also they added some innovation. And the question is, ATML Limited Kolkata imported CNC grinding machine from Catalyst Incorporation USA, complete with accessories and spares in October 2015 for use in the manufacture of high precision micro tools. Yes, that is there. So in 2015, so including complete with accessories and spares, they have brought in the machine. Basic cost of machine with accessories. You read each and every word carefully. You know that. In practical questions, you should read each and every word clearly. You know that. So with machine with accessories, FOB $50,000. See, machine with FOB, is he asking for excise duty? Sorry, custom duty? Yes, yes. Machine was insured from the above, but compute accessible value for the custom duty payable. Make suitable assumptions wherever required. Custom duty calculations need not be shown. When custom duty calculations need not be shown means, yeah, he is reducing your time. It takes hardly 2 to 3 minutes only. But you spend much time on writing assumptions, or you show 2 alternative solutions. Maybe it takes 2 more minutes time, but he will appreciate, yes, he has sufficient knowledge, okay. But he has given data relating to rate of duty also, but which is irrelevant under section 15. Only we have to find out accessible value. Job is very simple. He says FOB 50,000. See, particulars, amount, or whatever it is. He says FOB of machine with accessories and everything. He says, no, accessories and spares, it is 50,000 US dollars. Denominations we are not mentioning, currency 50,000 US dollars. And Catalyst Incorporation supplied one extra set of accessories valued 2,000. Its market value is worth 2,000 US dollars, free of cost to cover for transit damage. If something happens on the way, there should not be any difficulty. So $2,000 worth accessories they have supplied free. They have not charged anything. So machine with the basic cost of machine with accessories 50,000. With accessories it is 50,000, and for the 2,000 worth accessories is not charging. Now the question is whether the 2,000 is to be added or not. See, department, if it is a case, if it is a situation, department people always say that it is to be included, because it has some economic value. 50,000 worth of machine you are bringing and 2,000 worth of accessories you are bringing, you add up. And obviously the SSC argues, no, if 50,000 rupees they are not charging anything separately, because they are not charging, total consideration is only 50,000. It is a contentious issue, I tell you. Practically, cases crop up on such things. So it is any interpretation when you are solving, you have to solve exactly according to what the examiner thinks. It's a very tough task actually. So your assumptions will help you. But what is my assumption here? Because it is for accessories and everything, etc., accessories and spares, etc., is charging 50,000. He says it is FOB value. and he is also giving something free, he is not charging. So when he is not charging, matlab 50,000 includes this also. Total consideration is 50,000 in all. In 50,000 everything is included. This 2,000 is also included. That is the argument I take. That's a different issue. Who wins, who loses when the matter goes to the court. But I am taking the side of the SSC. Natural. Department certainly will take the side of revenue and says it should be added. But I don't want to add this because for 50,000 rupees I am getting everything and I am not paying anything. So whatever, so the whole lot including the accessories, including this one catalyst, incorporation supplied, extra set of accessories, it is 50,000 including everything. So I don't add. But all lies in your assumption. Second point is, you see this. Warranty cost payable to catalyst incorporation included in the cost of the machine, 50,000, included in the cost of the machine, that is 50,000. Warranty cost payable to catalyst not included. See, not is there above and in the second line included. So if you leave that not included, gone. But not included means this is to be added. The warranty is to be added, which is not included in the above 50,000. So 4,500 is to be added. See, I write here. Warranty not included above 4,500. What I do is I write here. See, I do solve according to my system. Here. Okay. And design and development charges paid in USA not included in the cost of the machine above. Design and development charges paid in USA. Any amount you pay outside the country, that is to be included. Refer to Rule 10. Rule 10.1 and Rule 10.1 in particular. So this 6,000 is includable. It is chargeable to duty. So paid outside, design, etc. charges. Because you paid whatever expenses you incurred there in the foreign country, they are a part of imported value of the imported goods. And the license fee AMTL is required to pay in USA. Is required to pay. So any license, royalty, etc., any amount payable outside India which is necessary for import. So you supply this assumption also, which is necessary for import, without which you cannot import. Right, in the assumption. So I add it, 1,000 US dollars, license fees, etc. This is somewhat innovative, a little innovative, and the rest of the paper is very simple and easy. And Kolkata, free of cost and is necessary for customizing. Achha, value of drawings, next one. Value of drawings supplied by AMTL Limited Kolkata. Achha, value of drawings supplied by AMTL Limited Kolkata free of cost and is necessary for customizing the machine to the needs of AMTL Limited Kolkata. Okay, they have sent some drawings from Kolkata. So the importer sent something of value, economic value to the exporter, which is necessary for the machine or machine imported. So if you send something, material, input, whatever is there, you are sending there means that is added up to the imports, cost of imports. So 1,000 US dollars. Luckily, they have not given in Indian rupees, or they have made our job easy. But this is included. This is certainly included because something is going from India to exporting country. Its value free of charge. Suppose they say it is worth $1,000, but he supplied for $500. So to that extent, 500 you have to add. But totally free means the entire amount $1,000 you are adding. Freight by air. I am cool and calm here. Freight by air. See Why this question is tricky, you know? If the freight is air freight, there is a restriction to 20% of FOB. So what is FOB? You have to determine here, and otherwise the question may go wrong. And because it is by air, and one more complication he added, you know what he did? He says machine was insured, but insurance premium was not shown or available in the invoice. When it is not available, it is 1.125% of FOB again. So FOB, what is FOB is a very big, it's the real issue here. No doubt, maybe you will be qualifying to say that this is includable, this is all the four are includable. For that you will be getting marks, no doubt. But what is the value on which the 20% is to be taken? See, he says it is 15,000. See, 15,000 means by any standard it is 50,000. So suppose you take 50,000 on 50,000, how much comes to 20%? 10,000. On 50,000, it is simply 20%. Okay, it is 10,000. Suppose you add up all these things, say 10, 12, 5. So 62.5. What about 20%? Still 12,500. If you add up all these things to make 12,500, if you add up 2,000 also, see, free of cost is applied. If you add up 2,000 also, only 14,000, still it falls short of 15,000 that has given air freight. So, because air freight is to be restricted to 20% of FOB, then what is FOB for the purpose of this particular question? See, I will explain. Let me explain. And you also do research. Last time or before last time, one question, of course, I solved and put it in CA Club of India. A student commented. He is from Delhi. Very active. Delhi students are very active because everything is available in Delhi. So he says, agents commission payable in India, payable in local currency, something like that. So I have taken the assumption in that question. I have taken the assumption that it is payable by exporter to his agent. So because he is an exporter's agent, you have to add. I have taken that assumption. He argued, no, you have to take it as commission payable to the agent of the importer. No, that is not customary. This is the standard practice. So he did not do enough research. As a student, naturally, it is not possible also. A student cannot be blamed. Kacha. Raw, it's like a raw material in most of the cases. There are some exceptional students, they are very mature, as good as a teacher. So he did not accept, he did not convince and sent a mail again. I tried to explain. But ultimately what happened is, when the institute has given a solution, in that solution also it has added. Because we are doing this for a long time, what is the standard practice we have to follow? We do follow. But as a student, it is not expected of it. Okay. So, as a standard practice, it is okay. But now, the crux is, if you take the literal interpretation, literal meaning, Rule 10, Sub-Rule 2 of Valuation Rules, 2007, they say, if it is by air, you restrict it to 20% of FOB. So they say simply 20% of FOB. When they say FOB, why should I go for all these things? These are all extra. No doubt, these are taxable. For calculation of air freight and insurance, they are to be charged on FOB. I take this alone as FOB. I charge 20% and 1.125% on this only. And if you do research, go back to various questions solved by different standard authors, textbooks and institutes, CA, CS and CMA, their solutions, suggested answers. or guideline answers given by them. If you go through and even solutions given by your own institute, that is Chartered Accountants of India, you will find these are all extra. But recently what they are doing, particularly the CA Institute, I think it was in 2015, 2015 May, 2015 November, I think. What the solution was, the solution given by CA Institute paper, somebody who solved the questions, suggested answers. In those suggested answers, he has added, you see, he has added even agent's commission. See, he has added even agent's commission to find out FOB. On that FOB, he added 20% air freight. The agent commission is not to be added. It is added after FOB, but before CAF. That is the standard practice. But institute did not accept that also. Defensive. See, when there is when there is some error, you should be brave enough. You should have the courage to accept it. Okay? But that is also happening. And in your solutions, if you find that all are added here, and even 2000 is added, above that 20% is charged, means don't be perturbed, don't be panicking. Everything is possible. But to me, to my knowledge, as a standard practice, I don't add up these things and I take 20% on this. Even though institute suggested answers sometimes are deviating from this. But in majority and most of the cases, this is the practice, so I take 20% on this. So I take add freight. Literally, it is FOB, I am adding 20% on this FOB. That's it. So add 20% air freight, because it is air freight at the rate of 20%. So it is 10,000 rupees. And insurance at 1.15%, again on this only. So if I calculate 1.15%, 1.15% of 50,000, that comes to 56250. 56250. This much? It is too much. 5625 on 50,000, it is 1.125%. 562.5, right? 562.5. Okay. So I have added FOB, freight and insurance, and I also add up 10, 11, 12, 12, 5. 12,500 others. I got CAF. There is no agent's commission here. Let me see anyway. Bill of entry presented. So for exchange rate it is okay. Date of arrival okay. By CBC date, machine was insured, not available, okay. Compute accessible value, custom duty payable, make assumptions wherever required, working note should form part. No agent's commission G. Okay. There is no agent's commission. So quickly 60, 72, 72, 73. 062.5. Let me use calculator. No risk. So it is 50,000 plus 10,000 plus 562.5 plus 12,500. 73062. Yeah, it's okay. So 50,000 means 500 or 562. Okay. So 73,062.5 and now we have to convert in Indian rupees. In Indian, you have to take the exchange rate. So you know, to find out exchange rate, relevant provision is section 14. Refer to explanation to section 14. It says a rate of exchange as on the date of first submission of bill of entry. First submission means it is white or yellow. In the case of warehoused goods, it is yellow color. So it is not a case of warehousing anyway. So bill of entry presented on 10/11/2015 and the rate of exchange is 66.25, nothing else and nothing more, 66.25 multiplied by 66.25. But what about the rate of duty? For rate of duty, of course, it is irrelevant here, he has given anyway. For rate of duty, you have to refer to section 15(1), and later of the two dates, date of entry inwards by the vessel for unloading or date of submission of bill of entry, whichever is later. In this particular case, 10th November bill of entry was presented, whereas aircraft arrived on 6th November. Whichever is later means same day. On the same day, the basic custom duty was 7.5%, which is irrelevant. He is not asking. Let us not waste our time. So if you multiply this 73,062.5 into 66.25 is 4840390, rounded off 4840391, 4840391, 4840391. This is the accessible value, 4840391, rounded up to the nearest rupee. And now the question is, if you take other assumption, if your assumption is otherwise, what you do? If you have time, better you show that calculation also. 50,000 plus 12,500, 62,500. On 62,500, you add 20% and also you add 1.12%. These figures will be different and the value will be higher. It will be on the higher side. But what difference it makes? You put your assumption. You say it is 20% on the accessible FOB. So because this is FOB, I have taken on the original FOB. And because he has not charged anything, so this is the total consideration paid for the goods imported. This is the total consideration. So I have not added the accessories cost of 2,000 rupees to its market value. Suppose it is imported separately or independently, that is taxable. See, even pre-imports are taxable, you know. But 50,000 worth of goods he is giving, and he is giving, you please take this also. So for the whole lot, he is charging only 50,000 rupees. He is not charging extra. So the total consideration is 50,000 only. Had he charged, I would have paid tax on that also. Because these are charges, I am paying tax. That is the argument. Okay, friends. So I think I have taken much time to just to explain only one question, for example. But other questions solved, full paper solved means solution with solutions. You will find, I have told you already, you can mail to fprao@yahoo.com. If you mail, if interested, if you feel like having solutions for all questions, so my services are available free of charge, nothing to worry. So I am happy to serve. And my WhatsApp number also 9811737205. I can send you the solutions. And because you are, thank you very much for watching this video with all curiosity, enthusiasm. Sometimes some of you might be mixing that enthusiasm with anxiety also. You will get solutions.